Welcome, welcome, welcome to Chats with Nick podcast, and I am your host, Nick. Today we have such a wonderful guest. Oh my God, talk about an evolution. This guy, unique, is quite unique. Please, let's welcome the one and only Unique. We have today the one and only Unique, who is an artist and also an engineer. But what he didn't tell you about his superpower, I'm so excited. A father, a proud father at that. So with that being said, I know that you got your new EP that's on the way.
I'm working on it.
Shh. All right.
No.
So it's called Evolution.
Yes, ma'am.
When you think about evolution, what does that mean for you?
Personal growth, honing your craft, and also being able to dig into yourself and hone in on what makes you your own personal self. Evolution means to me just being able to find your star qualities within your own being and being able to expose them not only for yourself but for other people. Other people need to hear your own personal struggles at times and they can relate to it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes if you go through something you might feel like you're all alone. I feel like in those instances you can draw strength. And I think in this album, I'm covering a lot of my own personal issues and my own personal vendettas as well. Not only with what I see in hip hop, but you know, some of my own core values and core issues.
So what would you say, like, just so people can get to know Unique a little bit better, what are some of those things, those topics that you would dive right into in Evolution? What can they expect?
One of my singles is called 4 Walls. I wrote 4 Walls at a time when I was very unhappy about my self-progression. It was at a time where I wasn't really working on my craft. I had took on, being a father, and I focused on that during that time phase. And it was a lot of my frustrations and believing that I couldn't proceed on what I wanted to. Not because of my son, but because when you're trying to uphold a household, it requires you to take on other responsibilities that are time consuming, and at the end of the day, what I find now is that there were excuses, because at the end of the day, it's about self-discipline, and it's about how bad you want a thing and how bad you want to progress in your own life and with your own passions. So I think overall Evolution is going to be just me expressing a lot of those emotions, as well as relationship emotions and stuff like that as well, things that you can go into during relationships. Yeah.
So being a single father and having to work, and also taking the time out to figure out what was that process like, and how did you even stumble upon choosing really what you want to do, being an artist and being an engineer? Like, how did we come there?
I was an engineer mostly by force. So where I'm from, or where I came up, Charlotte County, Virginia, there aren't really any opportunities there, or studios, much less. So coming up, I was blessed. I had a grandmother who took care of me. My grandmother raised me. And she saw my interest in music and helped support me financially in getting a home studio, and I didn't have anybody to send it off to engineer or to mix it. So guess what? I had to find out for myself, you know what I mean? And throughout time, it was developed. I was lucky, blessed enough to get an opportunity here in Norfolk as an engineer several years ago. Took me in, I really didn't know much about Pro Tools. I learned from sitting in sessions and doing my own homework, and over the years I've become a very good engineer. I have several clients, and that's what I do every day, is that I engineer music, and that's my passion. So that's from an engineering standpoint. As an artist, since 13 I've always had a passion to write music, and it was a way to express my own emotions and to get off my chest where I felt like I couldn't speak to anyone else, but I could put it in music and be able to share it in that way. But I find in a lot of ways men find it difficult to be emotional, as we weren't brought up that way. So music was my form of self-expression that I find for those that listen has a big impact on them. Yeah.
So what I hear is mental health and like stress coping
mechanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like how do we kind of like, what do we do? And I like those outlets. So I hear writing is an outlet. What are some other outlets, like healthy outlets, you think, would you even refer for other people?
I would recommend yoga.
Okay.
It's something that I need to do, something that I don't do. But I've read a lot about its benefits. I do meditation myself personally. Guided meditations a lot of the time. I feel like we all have a relationship with God. I was born in a Muslim house, okay? So I'll start from the beginning. I was born in a Muslim house. My father was Muslim, my mother was Baptist Christian. So I've always been confused when it comes to religion anyway, because I would have Ramadan, I'd have Christmas in the same year, I'd have Easter. I couldn't eat pork at grandma's house or at my dad's house. When I go to my mom's house, I'm eating a ham sandwich. And she's like, oh, baby, it won't hurt you. Whatever, right? But I was little, so I didn't know what it was, So then when I go to school, I'm in the lunch line, all the kids are getting, them hot dogs, they were pork hot dogs, right? So my grandmother had it arranged at school that I would get a different tray from the other students, like chicken nuggets or whatever. And every time I sit at the table, other kids would be like, well, why you get that? I wanted chicken nuggets, You're not kids, are. So it sparked confusion when it came to religion. My grandmother gave me a book at the age of 13 called The Disappearance of the Universe. Okay, and it talks about reincarnation, and it talks about how you incarnated into this world, and it talks about soul missions and passions and self-development in order to bring you closer to oneness. And that's kind of like, I believe God not to be a person or an entity, but I believe him to be all-encompassing, which is everything. So if you see the trees, that's a piece of God, another person is a piece of God. And the way I try to relate it is, if you have a pie and it's a whole and perfect pie, there's nothing wrong with that pie, not a crumb is missing, it's all perfect and one together. If you start to divide pieces from it or separate it, it's no longer what? It's no longer perfect. Now it's different, it's got division. So I feel when people think of God, they have, in a sense, a limited belief. They don't take into account that maybe, or at least consider that maybe God is everything that you can perceive. And I think that's the meaning of oneness, is your own oneness with self, firstly. Because if you can't be one with yourself, then you cannot be one with anything else. Just the same as if you can't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. It's the same thing. And I haven't obtained that. We're all in that process. I think that's the meaning of life, is to go through that process to find that oneness within yourself. And then furthermore with the world around you. And I think that's what evolution mostly is going to cover, is my own personal struggles and a lot of the ugly, and hopefully putting seeds of inspiration in there, and not selling pipe dreams either. Kind of being real about the processes of life that I've experienced thus far, and being able to share those in the best way that I can from my story.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it. If you want to evolve, Unique is the evolution, okay? Hey, you heard me? He is the evolution. Thank you so much for joining us today, first of all, and blessing us with just this understanding that as a human being, we can feel.
Yeah.
Man or woman, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to have these feelings, and I'm so glad that you are talking about this, because it's important.
Yeah.
everything that we feel is important. No matter if you're a man or a woman, like, it don't matter. Like, we're human beings,
Right.
and we have emotions.
Yeah.
Just because you're a man, you still have emotions. Or just because you're a woman, like, we all have emotions. And it's good thing to take from this, that to address those things by going to yoga, by writing it down, by talking to someone, to seeking support. Because truthfully, we all go through things. Life is challenging from time to time. You have your highs and then you have your lows. But what do we do though in our lows when we're going through challenges that don't include smoking weed?
No.
You know, not shooting weed smoking, but that doesn't include drinking or having sex or just all these different things. Like, what are these healthy habits can we adopt to really manifest us as a whole being?
Right.
And if you tune into evolution, I guarantee you, you'll get those answers. So thank you so much once again for tuning into Chats with Nick podcast, and stay tuned for another episode.